Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is me, Chris, and tonight we have no Jimmy. Pretty sure he has hockey or something. Anyway, hey, just wanted to come on and do a really quick show. Of course, tonight we have the vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. That'll be entertaining, I think. Open mics, so not going to be any of this. They're going to be able to go back and forth against with each other, and supposedly, I say this because it is CBS, so I don't, take it with a grain of salt. But supposedly, they have said that the moderators are not going to be fact checking anybody on stage. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how long before they correct. Well, they're only, if they're going to correct somebody, they're only going to correct it in one direction. I'll let you guess which way that is, but that's it. I wanted to talk about weakness and what happens in our country when our leaders are viewed as being weak. And, quite frankly, they're seen as being weak because right now they are weak. So let's just take a look at this real quick. We can start with the ILA strike that's going on the East Coast right now. For those of you who don't know, the ILA, the International Longshoremen, the people who work in all the ports up and down the East Coast, from Maine all the way down to Texas, they have gone on strike. Why are they doing this? Well, obviously, as a union and for their membership, they want certain things. They have not come to an agreement with the companies, so they decided to go on strike. But why do they think it's so easy to go on strike like that? Because they have no fear. And Joe Biden, who, actually stepped on stage and said words, said he's not getting involved. Weak. Ronald Reagan, if you remember back when he was president, had an issue with air traffic controllers. Well, that got resolved very quickly. Why? Because the president stepped in and, he made some decisions and the problem was resolved. You don't see that with this president, and you don't see that with this vice president, who have said absolutely nothing about it. The hurricane that just destroyed large parts of North Carolina, Tennessee, and those areas. Not hearing anything from them. Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, was asked what the plan was for the administration to handle this, or what preparations did they have in place to, support something like this. And all he did is went and talked for 20 minutes about some app that they created. Not, hey, in the same with the shoreman strike. He talked about some app. Well, an app's not going to keep ports open. An app's not going to transport goods to and from the port, to and from America. So again, weakness. We had no plan. Not surprising. Buttigieg hasn't done shit basically since he was put in this position. So it's not a surprise. It's just a furtherance of what we already knew. They're completely inept in the positions that they hold. And then, you can go right down, you can pretty much go right down the list. Secretary of Defense, inept. Secretary of Education, inept. Secretary of Transportation, inept. And, oh, by the way, Secretary of Energy, completely inept. President, inept. Vice President, inept. So, yeah, I mean, from top to bottom, they are absolutely horrible. And by the way, State Department, inept. He hasn't done anything even remotely beneficial for our any foreign policy thing since he's been in. Now, you could say that, the cabinet members are only doing what the leadership, i.e. the president and vice president, are dictating to them are the policies. And that's true to a degree, but these people don't even have plans. You all probably know Iran shot 180 ballistic missiles at Israel today. You've heard virtually nothing from the White House. Kamala Harris made a statement. They said, yes, we support Israel, but nothing about, this shit that they've been talking for the last, year, this whole, what's your message to Iran? Don't. Well, they did. And not just once. They've done it twice with the missiles. They also attacked Israel on October 7th. So this whole don't shit doesn't work. And you know why? Because they're weak. Because the world views them as weak. This is why Iran wants a Kamala Harris presidency so bad. That's why Iran is supporting Kamala Harris. Because they know if Kamala Harris, think of it this way. Go back and look at the Obama administration. What did Obama do? Obama gave them hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And what did they do? They used it to fund terrorism. Trump comes in, that goes away. You don't have any of these issues during his period. Biden comes in, which, by the way, remember, Biden was Barack Obama's vice president at the time. And they're right back to doing the same thing. And, oh, by the way, Biden released hundreds of millions of dollars to Iran. So the appeasement approach, weakness, not strength, weakness, has caused this under two different administrations that basically had the same theory. So it's obvious that it doesn't work. But you can't tell them that, screw the Abraham Accords that were working so well. And now nothing, because we are projecting weakness throughout the world. So the ILA strike, I'm kind of torn a little bit on this ILA strike now, and this is just my understanding of it. You guys who are listening, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but so apparently they do a contract every 6 years. In the last contract, it had there was a provision in there that there would be no modernization, or no, I'm sorry, not modernization. What's the word? Automation to the port systems, i.e., protecting and saving jobs of the union workers. Well, according to the union, that didn't happen. It was in there, but the companies automated significant portions anyway. And they could have struck a couple years ago, because I think they said this was 2021, 2022, when this happened, when they started automating. And so part of the issue is they want this automation thing back in there. And they want, I think, the automation that's already been put in place either taken out or not or something. So that to me is the big sticking point. Now, that in and of itself is not troubling to me. The request for 70 to 77% pay increase over a 6-year period, that's a little more hard for me to swallow and hard for me to be on the side of the union when, most of these, from what I looked up, most of these jobs start at $25, $26 an hour anyway. So you're talking about an increase of 70% over a 5 or 6 year period. And I get it. People are always going to say, oh, these companies, they make billions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I mean, it's like saying that the restaurant business is lucrative, and grocery stores are a lucrative thing. They have like a 1.5 to 3% profit margin. I don't know what it is in shipping. It may be. I know that the CEOs apparently get really big bonuses. So, maybe they do have some extra money to do it. But I don't think they have enough to cover a 70% increase for all employees over a 5 or 6 year period. And it just seems to me that that's a little lucrative. And the fact that neither side is even willing to sit down and even have a conversation at this point. People understand what's going to happen with this strike. They went on strike at midnight last night. The first week, we're probably not going to feel anything. But this starts rolling into 2 and 3 weeks. It's going to start massively impacting everything. Car dealerships. There aren't going to be any cars coming into the country to be brought to be sold at car dealerships. Groceries, paper products, virtually anything that you can think of, because virtually everything comes in to this country via ship, and everything goes out of this country via ship. But nothing's going to be coming in and nothing's going to be going out. So after a couple weeks, now, damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I guess if you're Biden and Harris, because it's going to hurt them just as much for this election cycle. The ILA president has basically all but come out and said that he's, this strike is going to destroy Harris's chance at being elected. We'll see if that's true. Maybe he just thinks he has more influence than he does. But as it was, only somewhere between 35 and 39% of the people in the union were even going to vote for Harris. The rest had already said that they were voting for Trump. So she's going to lose that 39% to some degree. And as this strike moves further and further along, it's going to get worse and worse for them. So I wouldn't be surprised at some point to see Biden jump in and try to do something. But as of right now, he says he's not getting involved. Anyway, I just wanted to come on and do a quick rundown of this stuff. One thing that I did think it was very interesting is, why is it that you think that none of and this goes to, as far as MSNBC, the most liberal newscast that we have, why is it that they're not talking about her debate performance anymore? Why is it that they're not talking at all about her interview with Oprah, which only got like 300,000 live views when she actually had it? Nobody's talking about her interview that she just did on MSNBC. And nobody's talking about, except maybe a couple I've seen like one clip of the podcast, the All the Smoke podcast that she was on recently. And nobody's talking about it because the only thing that's coming out of it is she still refuses to answer any questions with any substantive answers. We're 5 weeks away from the election. Tonight's the first night that Waltz has been seen by anybody on national TV, other than like a clip here or a clip there of, some donor speech that he was giving, privately in front of a group of people. So again, it goes back to what the whole theme of what our discussion is about tonight is weakness. They're projecting weakness. If you're running for the presidency of the United States and you are afraid to answer questions from the American people, what makes you think we want you to have that job? Or what makes you think that we're going to vote for you to get that job? I think that the numbers that I saw a week ago were that Trump and Vance have done 60 town halls, interviews, rallies, all those things combined. And Harris and Waltz have done 19 in the same time period, basically since she became the nominee. Why would you think? I mean, I know they believe that that's what won Joe Biden the White House, was the fact that he campaigned out of his basement, and they hid him away from the American public, and apparently it worked. Supposedly it worked. I don't think that's going to work for Harris, because she has to defend the record that her and Biden have on these issues. We'll get into that. The top 3 issues, Quinnipiac poll that came out today. The 3 top issues are the economy, the border, and abortion, in that order. 38% say the economy is the number 1 issue. 17% say the border is the number 1 issue. And 16% say that abortion is the number 1 issue. Well, Trump has a plus 11 on the economy. Trump has a plus 9 on the border. Harris has a plus 17 on abortion. The economy and the border, and I'm not sure that number on the border is really significant, because anybody who thinks that Harris has done anything or is going to do anything different than what's happening right now at the border when she becomes if she becomes president, you must be in one of those states where weed is legal, because she has shown nothing but the complete opposite since 2019, really. Probably before that, when she was in the Senate. I'd have to go back and look, but I can promise you I could probably find some comments or things that she didn't vote for or wouldn't vote for or whatever that opposed anything to do with restricting illegal access to our country. Anyway, so yeah, I just find it interesting that not even the mainstream media, which coddles Harris, coddles Biden, they're not talking about any of her interviews. And they're not talking about them because she does not do well, which is why she's not doing more. She doesn't do well on them. She doesn't answer questions. And even her deflections from answering the questions, when your deflections start becoming memes, that's not a good thing. And I think, the whole I grew up in a middle-class family meme is really, really starting to hurt them. So anyway, Jimmy and I will be back on Friday. I just wanted to do a quick, Trash Talking Tuesday. Yeah, and we'll see what happens with Iran and Israel. Iran started the first round of fuck around and find out today, and we'll see what the response to that is. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you all Friday night.